Hello everyone, back tuning in to today's first video, doing JMA Friday for today's first video. So as always on a Friday, we're having your month ahead look ahead with the Japanese and CFS V2 models. This is going to take us into the second half of May. So we're running down the clock for spring now with the month ahead look aheads. This afternoon, or later on this afternoon, we're going to have your week's 10-day video update. That will include all of the usual features. And then tonight, we're looking at ENSO, seeing what's happening in the equatorial Pacific Ocean in terms of El Nino. So that could be quite an interesting watch. It'll be with you this evening. Right, so let's start off with the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from the JMA from the North Pole view down. So this is the North Pole of the Northern Hemisphere, just here. The mid-latitudes of the Northern Hemisphere are around there. These 500 millibar height anomalies are broken down into weekly pairs. The first weekly pair will take us from the 26th of April today through to the 3rd of May. Blue is extrapolating to below average heights, which is low pressure. Yellow, orange and red extrapolating to above average heights, which is high pressure. So in the coming week, we've got below average heights more or less over the UK and extending back into the Atlantic as well. There's a blocking area of high pressure up over Greenland. So quite a bit of high pressure in the northern latitudes, but also high pressure around Spain and Portugal. So that makes a very complicated pattern. Overall, the flow will be westerly, quite unsettled. And it won't be overly cold with that area of above average heights over Spain and Portugal, allowing for some mild conditions to move up from the southwest at times. Going through to week 2, which is the 3rd through to the 10th of May, we find that the above average heights to our south strengthens. So high pressure builds from Spain and Portugal up to France. Low pressure gets pushed out to the north, to the west of the country, and that sends the jet stream northwards as well. So that's obviously turning drier, and also you would have thought warmer as the air is pulling up from the southwest or possibly even the south. And then weeks 3 and 4 looking like this. It's the 10th to the 24th of May. We have above average heights centred to our south-southeast, below average heights out to the Atlantic. So this is warm, potentially very warm, maybe even quite a hot scenario. That could bring the air up from quite a long way south. Watch out for this trough here in the Atlantic trying to move eastwards, possibly bring the threat of some sort of thundery interlude perhaps from the west and southwest. But overall, remember it's a 2-week anomaly, so it might be transitional. But overall, that looks pretty good, I would have thought, for dry, warm, maybe even very warm conditions. Let's have a look at the tropical mid-latitude view. So the British Isles is just here, top right-hand corner of the chart. As we're looking at, we can't see the North Pole, but of course we're just looking at that view downwards. The North Pole is off the chart up there. So week 1, which is the 26th of April to the 3rd of May, we've got the below average heights in the Atlantic, got above average heights across Spain, but also a blocking area of high pressure up towards Greenland. It's a complicated pattern, but it leaves us in a westerly flow, and probably not overly cold though, despite the blocking area of high pressure. Temperature anomalies in the week ahead are coming out a little bit milder than average, slightly above average temperature anomalies, but unsettled with precipitation anomalies, unsettled as we go into the final days of April and the beginning of May. Week 2 looks like this. It's the 3rd through to the 10th of May. The above average heights then are strengthening to our south and moving northwards, and that's bringing up the winds from a southwesterly direction. So this should be a warmer week. That's what we see. Temperature anomalies go further above average, so we go kind of like 1 to 2 degrees above average. Quite a warm week there from the 3rd to the 10th of May. And drying out in the south, a bit of a north-south split, so northern parts of the country are a bit wetter than average. Scotland and Ireland, England and Wales are a bit drier than average. And then weeks 3 and 4 has low pressure or below average heights out to our west and southwest, above average heights to our south and east. You would have thought we're pulling up warm, maybe very warm, southerly type winds with that. Temperature anomalies are actually not as high in weeks 3 and 4 as they are in week 2, but they're still above average. Remember, this is a 2-week anomaly, so it could be something like gets very warm, maybe even hot in week 3. Then there's a thundery breakdown. It goes cooler and more unsettled in week 4. or vice versa. You always have to bear in mind with the 2 weekly anomaly, there could be some sort of transition going on through that fortnight, through that 2 weeks. Overall, it is warmer than average still, though, and largely on the drier than average side as well. Precipitation anomalies are coming out drier than average. So once we get this rather unsettled week out of the way we've got coming up just in the next few days, it does look as though the trends with the JMA certainly are towards warmer and drier conditions for May. Let's have a look at CFS V2, see how that compares. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period will take us from the 26th of April to the 2nd of May. And again, we see that in the coming week, we have above average heights blocking to our north, but also extending down into the UK. I think this is a little bit less unsettled, actually, compared to what the JMA is showing. Below average heights are kind of like in the middle of the Atlantic. So this is a more anticyclonic scenario, even in the week ahead. It's a slightly warmer and drier picture, I think, with the CFS compared to the JMA. This is week 2. It's the 3rd to the 9th of May. Again, above average heights over Greenland, extending down into Iceland to the north of the UK. A trough of below average heights over Scandinavia and Baltic parts of Europe and into Western Russia. So we're just on the periphery of quite a cold plunge there. It's low pressure in the middle of the Atlantic, by the way. Just on the periphery of quite a cold plunge. I think most of that is probably being kept at bay to our north and east. We're under that ridge of high pressure, so it may be a little bit cooler there. We might be bringing down a little bit more of a north-northeast influence, but overall still mainly dry. And I don't think the temperatures would be too bad, maybe chilly at night, but overall, most of the cold air with that trough over northern Scandinavia is being kept away to our north and east. Week 3 looks a little bit different. This is the 10th to the 16th of May. Above average heights then in the south and east of Europe. Below average heights just to the west of the UK. That could be a more unsettled week, actually. More influence from the jet stream. Probably still mild, probably still bringing the winds up from the southwest. But I would have thought a little bit more unsettled there in week 3. Again, rather different to what the JMA is showing. And then in week 4, it's the 17th to the 23rd of May. Below average heights just out to the west of the country. Above average heights moving into the southeast of Europe. So again, that could be rather unsettled. Much more influence from the jet stream. Low pressures out to the west, providing energy for precipitation. So perhaps rather a changeable and unsettled middle phase of May, actually, with the CFS, which the JMA isn't really showing. So I'm not sure we've got agreement, actually, between the two models this week. Temperature anomalies for the next week, 26th of April to the 2nd of May. Average for England and Wales, milder than average for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Notice many central parts of Europe are actually having quite a cold week in the week ahead. But week 2 goes warmer. This is the 3rd through to the 9th of May. Above average temperature anomalies there for the UK, and week 3 also looking above average with the temperatures 10th to the 16th of May, warmer than average week coming up, and that goes on to week 4 as well, 17th to 23rd of May, also looking above average with those temperatures. So quite a warm May on the way if this is correct with the CFS. Then finally, precipitation. So it is drier in the week ahead compared to the JMA. So even for this week, which is the 26th of April to 2nd of May, even in this week, we've got disagreements between CFS and JMA, telling us how uncertain it really is at the moment. So the coming week with CFS is actually drier than average week. Then we go to near normal precipitation in week 2, which is the 3rd to the 9th of May. Week 3 actually hints at being a little bit wetter than average just to our west. It's a weak signal, so it's average to perhaps slightly wetter than average in week 3. And week 4, again, very weak signals, but possibly, if anything, particularly for Scotland, hinting at being a little bit above average with precipitation. So average to, again, above average precipitation, probably favoured in weeks 3 and 4. Very different to what the JMA is showing. So we have got problems for the next 4 weeks with JMA Friday this week. The JMA actually starts off quite cool and unsettled and then transitions us to a warmer, drier pattern. The CFS is rather dry and quite pleasant to begin with, and it just keeps it generally warm but turns it more unsettled as we go into May. So a lot of uncertainty at the moment for May. This has been showing up within the shorter range model output that we'll be doing in the past few days as well. And we just have to wait and see what is going to happen. We are at a time of year, May, I've explained this in videos before, is one of the more difficult months to forecast for, along with September, although the reasons are different. In September, it's primarily because of Atlantic storms and hurricanes and tropical storms in the tropical Atlantic Ocean, moving northwards into the rest of the Atlantic Ocean as areas of low pressure, and how those tropical storms interact with the jet stream, where they go. That's always causes a lot of uncertainty in September. So that's why September is a very difficult month to forecast for. May is rather different. It tends to be a much more blocked type month. We tend to get much more in the way of blocking in the northern latitudes, as the polar vortex that you have through winter sort of diminishes, dies, goes away. You see a rapid increase in temperature in the northern latitudes. And so May tends to be rather a blocked month. It tends to have a lot of easterly winds and that kind of thing. And that, again, always creates a lot of uncertainty within the model output. So that's what's going on. We're seeing the death of the polar vortex. We're seeing an end to the northern hemisphere winter pattern, if you like. We're moving into a summer pattern. And how that happens, again, through that transition, always causes a lot of uncertainty. I suspect we're probably going to have quite a lot of warm weather through May, though I think the indications are there. But just how unsettled it is, how unsettled it is, I think we have to just wait and see and play it day by day and week by week. Right, so I'll be back later on this afternoon with your week to 10-day video update. Hopefully that will shed a little bit more light on the situation. And then tonight we've got the ENSO update for April. So keep checking back to all of the updates. A very busy weekend of updates on the way as well. I'll talk about that at the end of your week to 10-day video update. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.